Hi, my name is Krystal Mullen, and I'm the Chief Creative Officer of John Street.
My name's Andre Louie. I'm Chief Strategy Officer at John Street, an agency born to make clients' brands unignorable.
Canada is unreal.
I'm from New Zealand originally. I've been in Canada for 15 years and loved every minute of it.
I think Canadian creativity is some of the best in the world. We've got such differing perspectives and different stories to tell. It just feels like we are the next big thing when it comes to creativity in the world.
I think Canada is a land that has amazing values. I think the people live them all day, every day, and it's a phenomenal place to live, work, and create.
Today on Canadians Create, we're going to be talking about sports interaction.
Canada's longest running sports betting book.
Perfect. Thank you. Nice.
Thank you.
So tell me about this client and how you guys discovered the opportunity to work with them.
Sure. So the client is Sports Interaction. They are Canada's longest running sports book. And we got invited to an RFP. So, it's the typical agency process of showing your wares, and they sort of date a number of agencies and then choose the one they want to get married to.
How do they send it to you guys? Why did they send it to you? Or was that something that's posted on a website and you just...
No. So typically they will identify a small number of agencies that they believe they want to learn more from.
Cool.
They look at your body of work historically and your sort of agency philosophy and standing in the marketplace. And then they sort of choose a selection that they want to hear from, more specifically about maybe a business challenge that they bring into the room.
Nice. Okay, so you answered this RFP, but what was the ask? What did you answer?
So typically RFPs are big written document where you sort of outline your credentials. They'll have a longer list of agencies, and then from that paper exercise, they'll cull it down to a short list that they then move to in-person meetings with. And there might be one or two meetings as part of that process.
But this particular RFP, what were they asking for? Outside of let's get to know you better.
Sure. So they were looking for an agency partner to really get close to them as a business, and power their growth in Canada. So their industry has gone through immense change in the last couple of years as it was deregulated in Ontario, with more provinces to come as well. And that then triggered a flood of entrants into the category. So there's over 80 now that they're competing against.
In Ontario.
In Ontario, yeah.
And this is all types of sports betting.
That's right.
Any, from horses to humans.
Absolutely. It's unbelievable the extent of sports that you can place a wager on.
It's crazy.
We'll steal that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Just came up with it right now. That's so interesting, right? That okay, so these guys have been around. Now they see all these other entrants in a market, and they're kind of freaking out because maybe they had relied on how long had this brand been established for?
About 25 years.
Right. And is this the sort of thing that had retail betting locations or no?
No. So all online and virtual. As soon as the floodgates opened, it's a $12 billion industry. So you can imagine the competition. Markets like the UK and the US, it's really advanced. So it's been legalized for decades. As soon as it opened up in Ontario, these international players came flooding into the market with their incredibly impressive brand names and even more impressive marketing budgets.
So what was the... I guess was the RFP to have a retained services agreement with an agency? You are our, North Star and guiding light for the whole year or 5 years or something? Or was it we need specific help in this particular way?
In this instance, they were looking for a partner to help them really grow their business over time.
Cool.
And prove the impact of marketing so that they can start dedicating more budget towards it, and sort of showing that virtuous cycle of, if you invest behind a brand, you put a big idea at the heart of it, then you can really drive growth.
Okay. So how did you answer the RFP?
So multiple phases, wasn't it, Krystal? There was the sort of written stuff, which very locked down and technical kind of document, and then.
But is that mostly identity, or is that also showing your perspective on their industry and a little bit of kind of like what you want to do for them?
It's mostly outlining your agency's capabilities at
Okay.
that point. And then when you move into the next phase, where they sort of do a bit of a cull, and then they choose a few agencies that they really want to spend time with. Typically, they'll give you a task, and they'll ask you for a point of view on their brand, their business, growth, etc. And then you present those back in live meetings.
Okay.
That's where you have to bring the razzle dazzle.
Right, the
Yeah.
razzle dazzle, and you brought it because you won them.
Tell you what, this one bought it. So the funny story is, we walked into the final meeting down in their lobby of their building. There was a big board up saying fire testing is happening this morning.
Wow.
And we had a bit of a laugh as we walked past it, thinking, what are the chances that that'll happen when we're presenting?
Those Simpsons.
We go up to... I know, we cursed ourselves on that one. We went right up, probably on the 20th floor of the building. Sure enough, I just finished my bit, and the razzle dazzle was about to start, and so do
Sprinklers.
The fire alarms come on.
Oh, I like
this
it.
blaring siren
Wow.
just would not stop, and everyone looked around the room, and we had one of those unspoken conversations that, we should probably go now, right? We're going to end this. We're going to go downstairs and sit this one out. But the clients were so entranced by what Krystal was saying, they did not want to leave the room. They didn't want to break the spell. So she powered on through like 25 minutes of,
Wow.
of fire alarm going off while she's presenting all these amazing creative thoughts.
Imagine it wasn't a test. And they would have rather died hearing your beautiful voice pitch them.
Oh my god!
What a way to go!
Yeah, what a way to go.
What a way to go!
That's definitely an ad for the agency.
But I think it's such a, testament, and one of the things that we took away when we walked out of that room was, one, thank God there was no fire, real fire. Right. But the second thing was, it's so lovely to have a client that is actively listening, so interested in what you have to say, really hearing you, and not defensive about their brand or what you have to say about their brand, and showing that sort of that true respect for you as a strategist or as a creative human being, that they just were like, no, just keep going, we'll be fine, it's just a test. And it just felt in that moment when we walked out of that room, we were like, okay, well, that was a challenge and we rose to it. We're happy with ourselves, even, of course, we want to win. If we lose, who knows what the other agencies had to do to get through.
Right. That happens every three times
they,
a week.
They actually do it on purpose to see if no. But and the second thing we thought is, wow, what a great partner they would be, because it was such a metaphor. There's a fire alarm going off, but if we just listen to one another and stay true and stay connected, we can sort of get through it. So it was a fun and fun moment, but everyone showed up so well in that meeting, and we did walk away feeling really proud of the thinking that we had brought to them, and also how we just presented ourselves as an agency group.
And let's timestamp this. When was this?
I think it was last fall, right? 2024, the
Cool.
fall of 2024. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So it's been almost a year that you've been working with them at this point.
Yeah.
And again, part of this might be to look at, because I haven't reviewed materials we're going to look at just now. So I don't know what they are. Right. Or how they fit into, your ongoing relationship with this client. Are these examples of the first campaigns that you're now getting out there? So what was the lead up from last fall to getting stuff out in front of potential clients or, the marketplace, let's say, on behalf of this brand? How long did that take?
We moved pretty quickly, right?
We really did, yeah. So they're sort of marquee media placements were through hockey. That's the sport that they've had their longest running association with.
Okay.
Hockey was heating up, and we needed to make sure that they were
right
out
away,
there, and
winter.
particularly heading into the playoffs. So we had to hit the ground running and
Cool.
move really quick.
And what did that process look like in terms of digging in, right? Like, how do you, is this a formulaic kind of thing that you guys do generally for all clients, or there's got to be some sort of process, I'm sure, but then at the same time, tailored to each opportunity, this kind of rolling up your sleeves to understand backstory with marketing history, who the local team is on their side, a client side, and what their capacities are, and where the relationships fit. And painting that picture before you look at specific, creative strategy.
Yeah, there's a process for sure. I think that you nailed it. Each client deserves the chance to sort of ebb and flow with the process that you've got, but generally, we'll get a problem to be solved from the client, a client brief, and we sort of had an idea of what that might be through the pitch process. Andre and his team will sort of take that problem away and recontextualize it in the sort of larger picture from a strategy perspective. I think that one of the most magical things about what Andre does is he definitely sees what the client sees and sees the problem, but then he can also look at the problem from sort of the backside or the side and think, oh, if we just nudge it a little bit this way or a little bit that way, we're going to unlock some other tension that actually might get us to a solution faster. So he and his team worked really fast to unlock the strategic jumping off point for us for this specific campaign.
Yeah.
And as you'll see in the work, it gave birth to a really amazing and exciting, I think, and ownable. This is so important, especially in the sort of oversaturated category, such an ownable creative platform for this brand. So yeah, all the credit goes to Andre for inspiring us and our team.
Should we look at this stuff and
Let's take a look. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm intrigued after you described it as he looked at the problem's backside.
Yeah.
I know. Like, don't laugh.
I'm just off the cuff. Yeah. He looked at the ass side of the problem and came out on top.
Look the problem right in the ass.
So we're going to show you 3 different pieces of video content, all that tell the same campaign story, but in very different ways.
Awesome.
So this is our hockey spot that launched, of course, right when in the late winter, early spring, that repositioned sports interaction and introduced this new brand platform. So I'm going to turn up my volume.
When you bet with Sports Interaction, it's not always about team loyalty. Sometimes it pays to be a bad fan. Every game is your game. Bet with Sports Interaction.
So that was our work. We partnered with the NHL, which was super cool and, a little bit complicated because the NHL also, thinking about the regulations that the sports betting world has, the NHL also has a ton of regulations. So proud of the work because the team was able to navigate and stick handle, pun intended, all of those regulations. And so every game is your game is the Sports Interaction brand campaign. It's the sort of North Star that we create all of our work around. And I think what's so magical about every game is your game is it recontextualizes sports betting in such an interesting way. You don't think about you bet on the teams you love. I'm a super big sports fan. I also love gambling. So, and both of those.
Tell us more. This is a safe space.
Yeah. No, I could tell you so much more.
I love gambling.
I do.
I got 7 jobs. I work at all the WPP agencies just so I can make enough to gamble.
To fund my gambling problem. No, but a lot of people tend to just bet on the teams that they love or that they're rooting for.
Yeah, that's why this is a revolutionary position.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting to think about that every single game or horse, is your game, is your match, is your fight. Like every sports moment can be your moment because you can place a bet on a player, on an action, on a game, and, kind of up the ante a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So when it came to soccer, it was really exciting to talk about soccer in this context because, as you know, soccer is such a global game. It's, we love hockey. Hockey's our thing. Sure. But I think soccer is becoming the sport that every Canadian and every person in the world is really rallying behind.
Sure.
So we wanted to tell a little bit of a soccer story. And this is what Every Game is Your Game looks like through that lens.
Hey, Matt. Matteo, come stai?
Sports Interaction's got him betting on global matches.
Hey, silenzio, huh?
He's never been to Italy.
Unfassbar! Was geht's?
German now?
Blimey, what a touch! Vamos! Vamos, vamos, vamos! Magnifique!
Bet on thousands of weekly games across global leagues.
Guys, wait up.
Bet with Sports Interaction.
And then the last piece of film we brought for you to watch is Every Game is Your Game, but through the lens of tennis. One of the things that Andre and our client team discovered, which is really awesome and unique when it comes to tennis betting, is so much happens. There's like such a game within the game of tennis. I mean, it's true for every sport, but especially for tennis. And so we wanted to tell an interesting betting story through the lens of just one game and how that might come to be wanting to put a bet on a certain moment in the game. So this is that story.
15.
Why did you place a bet on him now?
Even though he's taking time to settle in, he usually brings his best game in the second set. And the hard court really suits his style of play. And he has a great record against left-handers. And his first serve percentage has been climbing steadily. He's been taking the ball earlier, and his ball placement has been really precise. Plus, there's a Southeast win today.
With real-time odds, bet live with Sports Interaction.
So what's also really interesting about the three different sports, and again, we tell this story through a full funnel approach. There's TV, there's online, there's digital, there's social, and we've been telling. There's a lot of work that has gone out into the market, but I just think what's really interesting is the line "Every Game is Your Game" really reflects, I think, the potential that every bettor or sports lover has to make every game their moment. And I think that a tennis bettor, sorry, Igor, a tennis bettor is such a different bettor than a hockey bettor.
Right.
And Andre was able to unlock some of those nuances for us from a creative perspective. And it was all his strategic thinking and his strategic work that allowed us to be able to tell these very nuanced stories. Like a tennis bettor really relies on a lot of data, and that's why we leaned into the data storytelling in that spot. So it's just been a really fun and exciting campaign to unlock. And the more we work on it, the more we understand the specialness that we've so kudos to the client partners as well for recognizing it, approving it, and letting us run.
So I like this positioning. The Every Game is Your Game. Is that how you described it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Every game is your game. When you presented this to the client, what was their reaction?
Krystal and team did an amazing job bringing it to life for the client in the presentation, and I'm pretty sure the idea was bought in the room, which sometimes happens. It's wonderful when it does. Often clients want to sort of go away and sort of spend some time with the idea, but I think they knew it as soon as they saw it, that it was the perfect vehicle for their brand. It was quite a different positioning in the marketplace. And I think the thing that we like about it the most is that given all the sports you can bet on, from lawn bowls to show jumping, you name it, on their platform, we can then explore the relationship that different people and fandoms have with their particular sport. And, with hockey, we saw it through that tribal nature of team fans. But within that sort of tribal loyalty, occasionally the odds are just too compelling to bet maybe against your team. So
Hashtag Maple Leafs.
Well, I mean, it challenges this misconception, I think, also that probably exists in this in a lot of the competitions marketing, which is that everything that is team driven is you could never challenge your commitment to the team by betting against it, right? Which just means that you're going to make losing bets a lot of the time.
That's right. Yeah. And what was really interesting
it's
is
very
that
interesting. It's so refreshing. Like, but so the question I have is like, how much of this came out of kind of a research position, looking at like either market relevancies and how other people are advertising in segment, versus a kind of a compulsion to just innovate in the narrative.
So it was a bit of both. I mean, we wanted to come in with a fresh take on hockey and what it means to be a true hockey fan. Obviously passionate about your own team, but we wanted to explore that and really sort of test the limits of loyalty. And I remember when Krystal was presenting this to the clients, and the senior client was sort of got on the laptop, and about 30 seconds later said she'd just been pinging her analytics team, and they'd done a run, and they found that when the Maple Leafs are playing, there is actually a large portion of bettors in Toronto who bet against them. So that gave us that sort of real world, real behavior
Like
validation.
validation.
Literally real time
something.
data first validation of the kid was amazing. Yeah.
Great. And then now, as it's rolled out, because you guys got these out, some of these spots out right away. How has reception been to them, and how do you measure that?
So we measure it in a few ways. I think we're thrilled with the reception of the hockey spot, and then the tennis spot and the soccer spot are still relatively fresh out into the world.
So let's talk about the hockey.
But hockey, so there's a few ways we track how that's working. The first is through ad testing, so a system called System 1, which is a really well-renowned after-the-fact ad testing platform. We ran the ad through that, and it scored incredibly well. So it did everything we wanted it to do in terms of boosting affinity for the brand and driving purchase.
Just to interrupt you, so System 1, for people that also are new to the industry or otherwise sit outside of it, because I keep seeing this, like marketers using this thing, and it's interesting. But this is basically, now is this automated, or is this with humans giving feedback to ads to provide both emotive response and attention focus, right?
That's right. Yep. So it's humans reacting to an ad,
Okay.
And then basically scoring it. You can see how their attention builds through the ad. So are you getting them early? Are you building to a big reveal or a climax? And then how are they reacting and responding emotionally and rationally?
But so you hire System 1 to do this testing for you, but do they load the room with your ideal people that would be watching this in context?
Yeah, so they're an online panel, so you can choose to have a control group of just sort of general people, and then a group of your target audience, and then see if your message and delivery of that message is landing with the people you really want to win over.
But see, for example, I mean, how granular can you get? Like, can you ask them to give you hockey fans of a particular team at this particular time on this particular day? So you can kind of like mimic
granular. So it usually deploy it at the end of a campaign. So something's been running in the world for a couple of months.
Yeah, just to get a kind of a snapshot of...
Exactly. So you want to know if people who are sports fans, who might be male, they might be in this age range, they've placed a bet with a sports betting platform in the last 12 months, how is this landing with them? Because those are the ones that you really want your message to resonate with.
Okay, cool. So basically it was out there in the world. The validation came from the reception through testing, but also people placing bets?
That's right. So it,
You got it.
the testing kind of gives us some good playback about how the advertising is working. And then at the end of the day, what we really care about is creating growth for our clients. So that comes in the form of people downloading their app, setting up an account, and then ultimately betting on the sporting event. And we saw great lifts in all of those as well.
Percentages? Can you talk about like what that lift was?
Best not to.
Okay.
It wasn't all just me.
Yeah.
I wasn't just buying a bunch of burner phones and downloading the app. It wasn't just me because I'm obsessed with gambling, just so you know. It was legit. It was legit Canadians.
But this is great. I mean, the point of the matter is that like you found success.
Yeah.
And client was happy enough that like it continues into other sports and like the idea is now solidified for how long do you marry with an idea? This is the other thing. Is this like the 5-year kind of catchphrase, or is this?
It's certainly a long-term platform, and it's something that ultimately, if you keep investing in it, it gets some equity out in the world, and we want to make the brand synonymous with that promise of making every game your game. So that takes some persistence. We'll turn up differently based on different sports, and Krystal and her team will do the beautiful sort of storytelling to really capture the relationship that different fandoms have with their sports. But each one's going to be a new chapter in that story of make every game your game.
I think a lot of the time we within our own industry can feel like a campaign is tired or old after 2 or 3 years, but in actuality, the regular everyday consumer doesn't feel like it's tired or old. I mean, unless you're hitting them with every commercial your spot is playing. I feel like we set out, and that was part of the strategic brief, we set out to create something that was going to last, and that could really, that sports interaction could really sort of plant that flag in the moon and say, we're taking our first step here, and this is the campaign that's going to live and breathe. And what's really special about it is we had a bunch of different client teams in the room when we presented it, and everybody was thinking about the fact that, oh yeah, like you can say if it's a UFC match, like every match is your match. Every race is your race. Every game is your game. So it does have legs to extend to every sport. And we just feel really proud of it. And I think that it will ebb and flow as we learn more about our different segmentation, as we learn more about the job to be done for our clients and for the app itself. But I think that we've got such a strong foundation that we can grow it into whatever it needs to be at any given time.
No, it's super exciting. I think it's a great platform.
Thank you. Yeah.
And there's so many ways you can spin it. So I do have to ask, is like, what are your limitations with this client and where you can take this in any fashion?
From just a regulatory standpoint, you mean?
There's that. There's budget limitations. There's certain channels that you can't use or that you don't find success with.
Right.
Where do you think of what's limiting, not the potentiality of it, but your creativity? Let's say, like, what are the guardrails to focus within?
Right. Well, from a creative standpoint, it's funny you should say that, because I feel, and I've always felt this way, which I think maybe is a little bit, it zigs a little bit when others zag, but I always feel like when you have more guardrails, you're able to actually create and strengthen a creative idea or creative thought. So one of the like really interesting guardrails for sports betting or betting in general in Canada is you can't use like a famous athlete or famous spokesperson. That's something that we in Canada cannot do.
Like professional athletes,
right? Correct. But if you're watching an NHL game and you're getting the feed from a US affiliate, you're seeing Wayne Gretzky talk about bet with this brand, or you're seeing Jamie Foxx talk about bet with that brand. So we as an agency, as a creative team, as a strategy team, needed to think of something that would stand out and connect with Canadians in a different way, because we can't use that star power, and we didn't necessarily want to use that star power. We wanted to give our customers the benefit of the doubt and say, we can connect with you in a different way, in a way that's maybe more meaningful than just having someone who's
it and like, oh, I like that guy, so I should listen.
Right.
No, this is far more versatile and sustainable as well as a platform, right?
Yeah, and I think Krystal observed really early on when we were starting to immerse ourselves in the category that there is a pretty set playbook where all these different places are talking very loudly in full caps about all their features and benefits, and it sort of comes at you in this sort of relentless wave of information. And then, we tried to push against that and focus more on the person than the product, and really be slower and calmer and a little more thoughtful in the storytelling around it.
So it being a platform that, or not, sorry, mix words, but like the client being in market for perhaps the longest out of, anyone, out of these 80 operators in market in Ontario, I guess, what were their biggest problems, do you think, kind of like as you opened up, as you started looking at things and kind of getting the keys to drive a bit before you launched this campaign, what did you outline as their biggest problem? Was it that actually, you answered your own question.
Well, I think there were a few things. I think one of the big ones was the US brands coming into Canada and deploying insane marketing budgets.
But was the output of that stealing market share that was already owned, or was that new market share that hadn't been, exploited yet?
I think the market exploded. So as soon as it became deregulated, the growth has been phenomenal within the betting category. So I think as it deregulated, the market opened up and the market grew.
More people bet. More people placed bets than ever before because the market was deregulated, which simply meant that more people were offering betting services. So ostensibly part of that is the digitization of this, and it became easier for people to place bets. And it's not just logging into an app or a website to place a bet, because they might be integrated and embedded into other apps and different experiences, digital experiences, right?
Yeah, so what we had was you get storied casino brands like MGM with big physical footprints coming into this digital realm. And
wait, is that owned by Amazon? Was that part of their brand acquisition? Do you know?
Ooh,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I've never scratched the surface on this whole casino play with that brand, but like,
oh yeah,
I know they bought it for the content and for the studio side of it. Okay, back to the story.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
That's all right.
Storied brands coming in.
Yeah, so you get these physical, casino brands that are now operating in the space. You get the specialist sports books from the US who've had a 10-year head start in terms of building out their marketing, building out their base in the US, and then deploying all of that to Canada. They have an environment, as Krystal was saying, where maybe there's slightly less regulation. So suddenly it got very noisy. It got very, very crowded. How do you begin to sort of fight your corner and chart your path to growth as a brand that's been doing well and serving Canadians for 25 years? So suddenly a lot of challenges to contend with. So they needed to pivot and make some changes.
Very interesting. So even the product that they have, I'm guessing there's a lot of like growth that you'll be supporting from the product side, like new things, new features, new ways to bet under the same brand that will be coming out in coming years?
Yeah, look, it's a dynamic space, and I think there's a lot of innovation happening on those platforms. What's tricky, though, is it to be sustainable advantage. So as soon as someone launches a new kind of parlay, it's pretty quickly copied by everyone. So it's really hard to stay ahead on product.
Yeah.
And you got to find a different way of connecting with those those sports fans who want to make the game slightly more exciting for themselves.
Right. And at the same time, how do you protect, this is just a general kind of layman's question, right? But how do you protect this platform? Like ostensibly unscrupulous, American company X will come in and be like, let's just do the same ad and double the budget.
Right.
Yeah, well, I think there's always the risk of that. I think there's a lot to be said for first mover advantage and getting something to market quickly and establishing your ownership of it. And I think that's that's what you're seeing play out now across 3 different sports, and there'll be more to follow.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about channeling. How you get this message out on a different channels and what the strategy for correlating access to market at different times and through different devices and different whatever was for this? Or how are you thinking about this brand and this platform, getting it out to people in different ways?
Yeah, I mean, I think, not to repeat what Andre said, but there's a lot of people that do, whether it's a banner ad, as simple as a banner ad, that you can't quite tell which sportsbook it's presenting you, because they all kind of look and feel the same.
Right.
And so even at the sort of lowest funnel, we wanted to make sure that we were telling interesting stories, even though we had to tell them in quite a short or small space, that reiterated the every game is your game, and took the nuances that each soccer or tennis or hockey fan exists with, and plays that back to them as well, so that they, even in a small digital banner ad, they see themselves. And so actually I can share with you.
There you go.
If you take some of the sort of lower funnel digital work that we did for tennis, for example, we wanted to play back that, of course, you could bet within the game itself. That was something that we knew that our tennis bettors really, really were looking for.
Right.
And that they would be more open to things like get 125% deposit match, because they live and breathe the data. Exactly.
Speaking to that specific.
Exactly. And of course, we're going to get cute with some puns, serving more ways to bet, because we're literally creating, I don't know, hundreds of these assets, and they all have to be different, and they all have to say something different.
Was the targeting of this sort of an ad digitally online, focused based off of the person's preference for tennis, their tennis fans? Like how granular these days with advertising can you get online to know this person? Is it simply that the game's on TV, so you're time windowing the ad, and then you're also able to tell if they like sports, or can you get as far down as they like tennis?
A little bit of everything. So there's sort of concentric rings of, obviously in-game, who you're speaking to, and the whole intent of the ad that we did for the tennis fan was recognizing that these are true fans who will follow a tournament from the first opening rounds all the way through to the final. Right. And they're building a sort of finely tuned sensibility about who's running hot, who's higher rated but not playing as well as they could do,
right?
Who played a tough game for 5 sets, the day earlier, and so they're maybe a little bit more gassed than their opponent. And we really wanted to connect that sort of in the moment, in the game, through the TV. But then it sort of ripples out, and you know that there are people who are searching for information in the run up to the tournament.
Right.
So you start giving them slightly different messages when they're sort of in that information gathering mode, rather than in the moment. And definitely, they've got a very different composition. It's more balanced male and female versus something like a hockey, which is heavy male. It's an older fan as well. And they tend to place larger bets. So you're using all that information to tailor a very different go-to-market strategy for them than you would do a soccer fan.
Yeah.
And even you can see in the soccer work, we're able to use the tactical assets to tell product stories. So with Sports Interaction, you can place your bet before kickoff, and or we can also lean into a little bit more storytelling that ladders back up to the content we've created. So up to dos, due, or do, like you can have this idea of, like, we know a soccer bettor is more global in nature. We know that they're, getting up early to watch those games that are happening in Europe when it's 5 a.m. here. So really leaning into who these people are and reflecting that back in something even as hardworking as a tactical asset. So it's tricky and it's nuanced, but it's so doable. And I truly believe that every game is your game. Even though you're not seeing those words on these ads, it's coming across in the way that we're talking about the way you can place your bet,
Sure.
or how you can parlay across leagues. So there's just a lot of opportunity when you've got a really big, bold, strong brand platform, that you can use it to your advantage, even in the lower funnel assets.
So you've got these kind of like banners that are going on web. You've got spots that were on TV. Did you guys also look at any other digital like deployment of video assets online through advertising? Was that part of this initial kind of approach? YouTube, etc.
Actually, Sports Interaction has some internal studio work that they do. They have like a host that talks a little bit about, different ways that you can take your bet, or the Jays just won the playoffs. Who are we betting on the Red Sox or the Yankees?
Right.
They'll have some, in the moment, very reactive content that they actually shoot in their studio. They get it up online and on their social spaces, and I think that also lends itself to the Every Game is Your Game platform, because it's allowing conversation and real life in the moment experiences of people who love the game and love sports betting. So yeah, there's some interesting content as well that goes up on the social channels.
But pushing this campaign through online video, I'm guessing that a lot of people who watch sports are watching it through YouTube.
Right? We've bought connected TV.
Okay.
Our partnership with the NHL, we had a lot of sweet stuff happening during an NHL game. So squeeze backs where you're watching, those things that when you're watching the game and it's maybe annoying. The game gets a little bit smaller, and then there's an ad around.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I don't watch.
you don't watch sports,
man. I don't have time to watch anything.
Okay. You don't have time. No, but basically, we bought the boards.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a digital overlay these days.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So, there's a lot of different opportunities to tell the story in different places, which is super fun. Yeah.
That's exciting, actually. I mean, I think that's super exciting.
Yeah.
Like everything is brandable these days, or whatever you want to call it.
Also, for our media friends, squeezebacks are not annoying. I retract that from the record. They're amazing, and I love that media buy. As a sports fan, your little screen gets a little bit smaller. That's all.
Oh man. And then what about hearing? Have you actually gotten information aside from yourself, but from other bettors that use the platform?
Just like general feedback, you mean?
Yeah, on these campaigns.
Yeah. I mean, like through word of mouth, people are digging it. People get it. People understand it. They, I like that you laughed here and there when you're watching the spots. There's like a level of storytelling and humor that they're not seeing with other, brands. So it was always validating. But yeah, and the research is saying that they like it.
Nice. So hockey season's upon us again, right?
I know, right?
So how are things evolving?
We're learning from last year, nipping and tucking a little bit, but I think this year we're sticking with the winning team, and it's going to be a little bit more of the same in terms of hockey, and really starting to focus now on looking for other sports and other areas where we can start introducing sports interaction to broaden that base of players, and to maybe play in spaces where the big money American brands aren't paying as much attention. So
right.
We'll steer clear of the NFL and properties like that. They're oversaturated already.
Okay.
But try to find some other weird and wonderful sports that have passionate fans.
Nice. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Lastly, I wanted to get your angle on this, because it's a unique Canadian case because our market is specific, right? And there's also certain sports and leagues that are local, right? And that people would want to bet on that are particularly Canadian. How else could you explain this, the work that you're doing? I know the platform could definitely be extended globally, right? It's one of those ones that's like speaks to all humans. But where do you see either your customer, the client, and your work with the client as it evolves, telling a story about Canada in some way?
Well, I would hope that we can be guided by the things that Canadians really care about, and we've hit the big one in terms of hockey, but it's just such a sports mad culture here, and I think there are lots of different subcultures as well. that emerge as well from the the multicultural nature of Canada. So I think there are all sorts of fantastic sports. Women's rugby, what an amazing event that's just gone in the World Cup, with Canada making the final. So I think there's huge space in terms of exploring the sports that Canadians care about. I think we're seeing women's sports really having a moment now as well, and that's an audience.
WNBA next year,
know.
Tempo, Toronto
So
Tempo.
excited.
Yeah.
So excited.
coming up.
And Sports Interaction, what's really interesting, they do live and breathe their Canadiana, and they're so proud of it. And it's something that we really value about them as a brand. They sponsor local soccer teams.
Oh, wow.
Which is super amazing. And I don't know if any other sports book is doing that they come up here and sure, bet on the NHL, but we know that you love hockey or soccer so much that we're going to come and we're going to be a part of your Sunday 11 a.m. your hungover beer league where you're playing, you know what I mean, you're sweating it out. So I think that they do have this affinity, and they've been around for 25 years for Canadians. And so they put their money where their mouth is, and they show up for Canadians in that way. And I think, every rock is your rock at the Scotties Tournaments of Hearts. Let's get people betting on curling, and I think there's just like a really interesting and fun way to tell that story right down to a local level as well. So yeah, you're right. You're bang on in that regard.
Awesome. Well, guys,
Cool.
I look forward to doing some follow-ups to catch up with you on how things go in the next few years.
Right.
And to that end, how does it work in terms of your relationship with this client? What's the minimum kind of retainer agreement or that people sign? Because it's nice to be able to work with someone for years and years and know that you could build something.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, those are the most rewarding relationships where you're true partners in a client's business, and it takes a while to get to know each other and to really understand a new category, their organization dynamic. So it feels like the first year or so you're really on a learning curve, and then as the understanding builds, the trust builds, then these sorts of relationships hopefully go from strength to strength.
Sure, yeah.
And sort of turn into beautiful things that last multiple years.
So, you don't know.
Well, you know what? I'll speak on behalf of our client, Cheer. She's going to lock it down for at least another 10 with us.
There we go.
Right, Cheer?
Guys, it was a pleasure having you in studio to talk through Sports Interaction and the work that you're doing over at John Street with them.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us. Startwell's such a
talk
cool, such a cool thing you've got here.
Pleasure.
Everyone come to Startwell on King Street.
There you
Super
go.
cool.
There
yeah.
you go.
Check it out.